Hi students, this is just a weekly update. I hope to provide these most weeks and I hope they'll be helpful. If they're not helpful or there's something you want me to change about them, just let me know. Something I'm trying for the first time this semester, so very much open to suggestions. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about how we've been doing this week, talk about what's coming up the next week. So in terms of this week, I think we're off to a good start. I think we have a good group of students. I really like how a number of you have reached out to me with your questions, either via email or over the phone. It's great to get to know you better. As you have more questions, please don't be shy about voicing those to me. As I say, email, phone, set up a time to Zoom. Happy to do any of those things. In terms of participation, lots of people are getting involved on the discussion boards. I would just point out as we're moving forward that because the semester started on Tuesday, we have a shorter first week. So remember, the weeks for this class always end at the end of the day on Saturday. That means by the end of the day, this coming Saturday, the end of the day tomorrow, you should have finished the discussion board. That means you've made an introductory discussion post and you've commented on 2 other posts, you've completed a journal entry, and you've completed the participation agreement. So these things, along with the introductory videos, shouldn't take you too long, but it does need to get done. As I say, none of these things are very difficult, but it would be a shame to be people to be missing out on points and getting behind this early in the semester. So please make sure those get completed. If you're having any trouble completing that, please don't hesitate to reach out to me and I'll help you through it. So just make sure you're getting those things taken care of as we move forward. One small point about the journal entries, and I know that different professors do this in different ways. To me, it's most helpful if you either copy and paste or write your entry, type your entry directly into the journal assignment. I know some professors like to have the file attached and ask for that, but I prefer it if it's just the text is right there for me. So if you can do that, that's most helpful for me. Okay, that's the past week. Looking forward to the week ahead. This week we're looking at the topic of reconstruction. It's a pretty huge topic for setting us on our way, so we'll have a number of videos as normal, both videos by me, videos from YouTube. It brings in multiple perspectives into the classroom. We'll have a textbook reading, we'll have a discussion. This was something that I spoke with one student about on the phone. We talked about how you have the 2 books, the textbook and the American narrative history, and then the other book, Reading the American Past. We'll have a discussion board each week, and the readings that you need to do to participate in that discussion, you'll find those in the Reading the American Past book. So that's what that's for. That's for all your discussion boards. So just to be sure that you're aware of that. So videos, PowerPoint and textbook for learning the narrative of Reconstruction, discussion board, writing assignment, which this week is a quiz on plagiarism that you can take twice. So it's open book. Go all over the internet, look up the answers. That's totally fine with me, but you can only take it twice. And that's partly because there are some true or false questions in there, so you shouldn't need 3 times through to get true or false questions right. That's at least my hope. And then there's a journal entry as well. Just in terms of a little background to the topic this week, Reconstruction is really a massive topic that sets up a lot of the important themes that we're going to emphasize in this class. And just to emphasize its importance here, it asks how you rebuild a society, how you rebuild a nation that is supposed to be united, the United States of America. How do you rebuild that nation after a massive civil war? Especially a civil war which in its later stages has, at least in the later stages, if not in the earlier stages as well, has questions not just about government power, but also questions about issues like slavery and human rights. And so it's a real challenge how you reunite that society. How, on the one hand, are you going to make sure that this issue of ending slavery, which was the reason many people had fought in the Civil War, how do you make sure that that is achieved? And then at the same time, how do you make sure that the people that you've been fighting against in this war, that they are not, that they are reintegrated back into this nation? And can you say reintegrated? This is kind of the challenge for the North and for the United States government as it approaches this period of Reconstruction. Remember, the argument of the North is that the South never seceded. They were simply states that were being disobedient to their legitimate government. And so then it raises questions, well, can you take away, for example, the right of these American citizens who have always been American citizens? Can you take away their right to vote? How do you tell these people in the South that they have been doing something wrong, that those who were deeply involved in slavery, of course, most Southerners didn't own slaves or didn't own plantation slavery. How culpable are these Southerners? To what extent should they be blamed for fighting to defend their own state? Are they fighting to defend their own state? Are they fighting to defend slavery? To what extent should they be punished for doing that? How do you reintegrate Southerners into American society? And at the same time, make sure that the institution of slavery, which had been a part of their culture, is gone for good, without them feeling that they're a conquered people. That's the great challenge of Reconstruction, how you walk that line. And then, of course, the other part of the challenge is how do you take people who have been enslaved for hundreds of years, for several generations at this point, and make them free? You can't just pass a law, you can't just make a proclamation that says they're not slaves anymore. That's a start. But remember that slavery isn't just a status, it's become a culture of enslavement. And in some instances, this was by intention. Those who owned slaves wanted slaves to accept being a slave as part of their identity. And so what can you do? Can you give these people land? Can you take that land away from Southern soldiers? Is that legitimate? Is that a legitimate punishment? What do these people need in order to be fully integrated as citizens into this American society? So how do you integrate white Southerners back into the United States without them feeling like a conquered people? How do you integrate former slaves into the United States without them still feeling like slaves or like second-class citizens? So these are the big issues of Reconstruction. The great achievements of Reconstruction are the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th Amendments to the Constitution, which establish the constitutional rights of those who formerly were slaves. And at the same time, it shows the changing relationship between the federal government and the state governments. That this is an issue which is now an issue for the federal government rather than for the state governments as it had been previously. I hope this is a good preview. I hope you enjoy studying Reconstruction this week.